Well, as many of you may know, Kelly's going to be leaving us next week. She may have anchored the news for 3 decades, more than 3 decades, but she's also reported stories all over the globe. So tonight and over the next few days, we're going to take a look back at some of her most memorable moments. And we're going to begin with a look back at her trip to Cuba.
Workers are spending so much time on these buildings because eventually they'll actually get to live here. It's some of the nicest housing in all of Havana.
You've done a lot of traveling, obviously, as a journalist, been able to see great parts of the world many others may not get to see. Let me ask you about Cuba. I know you had a great time there, and that was quite a cultural experience for you.
Well, it was, and it was important. So we wanted to go into Cuba because we have so many people from Cuba here in the Tampa Bay area, and the families here were worried about their loved ones, and they wanted, this is when you really could not go back and forth, and they wanted to see what the conditions were like and for us to report about it. So the way we got in is we used the preface of we're going to cover the PanAm Games, so we got approval, visas to go in, covering that, but really what we were doing is reporting on the poverty and how bad it was. We felt we were a little bit worried that there was security following us, and there may have been, but we were still able to do our jobs. We were only there for a couple of days. We got contacts of people from Tampa where their families lived. We made contacts with their families. We went into their homes to see what it was like, and they talked to us, and we tried to stay out of the streets and went into the homes so nobody from the government would see us interviewing these families. But we saw a lot of poverty.
A lot of children, a lot of families. What was it like? What did it feel like to see a lot of them struggling like that?
It was
clearly they didn't have to.
Yeah, I know. It was really heartbreaking because you knew their families at home were so worried about them, and they couldn't do there was nothing they could do about it. And so bringing that video back home to their loved ones was really rewarding. It was very rewarding. So many people, we have so many people from the Tampa Bay area with family in Cuba, and they were very grateful. Oh my goodness, they were so grateful to be able to see their loved ones. But, you know, there were the food lines, there were poverty, and, you know, it's not what I mean, we saw the real deal, and I think it did mean a lot to families.
And it doesn't seem like much has changed,
no,
sadly,
not at all.
That's the sad part. 30 years later, you'd like to think we could look back and say, oh, it's not nearly as bad now, but as you've been following it, you know it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if they open up travel there, what's going to happen, what that means. A lot of people have a lot of differing opinions on it, and yeah.
Well, we appreciate the one of many that we're going to be taking a look back on. That was a special story, and I know you still talk about that often, and there are many more that you're going to share. So
for the next few days.
Got our fingerprints all over these stories over 3 decades plus, Paul. It's pretty
incredible stuff, yeah.